Welcome to another exciting episode of If You Condone This Shit, They're Gonna Own Your Ship. I am here with my co-host and video producer, Kenny. Big Kenny. Go ahead, Kenny.
What's up, America? How you doing, Scally?
I'm making it work there, baby.
I know you got some shit to talk about, but I want to talk about Israel for a second. How does it feel to be dominant when you're dominating people that have no weapons? Now you got people fighting back with weapons. How does that shit feel?
Yeah, well, that shit is it's a quagmire, and I have to say I humbly am upset a little bit with Joe, but see, he's in a rock and a hard place right now. And
what's that rock and hard place?
Well, here's the thing: is AIPAC, that political action committee, who's pumping millions of dollars, fighting against politicians that don't stick their tongue in Israel's ass, or somebody, don't do what they say. He's got to, and he's up against an election. He's got Democratic, Republicans. He's got a whole house that he got to vote in, and he don't want that PAC money to be used against him. So he has to kind of remain silent. It's a fucked up deal, but we allowed ourselves to be kowtowed with this lobbying group and this Israeli supporters that Israel can't do anything wrong. And well, we can safely say that that's a fucking lie, because they're doing something wrong every day over there. So what's your take? And I'm telling you that I wish that he would just say, hey, I'm not going to give you any more money for offensive weapons, because every time they get attacked, we station ships out there, and our ships are pumping American dollars, making sure that they don't, because they start. That's just like, you ever had in high school, you had some fucking guy start a fight, and then he's got a big bunch of football players behind him to back him up. He's a little Weasley motherfucker who started the fight, but when you come to kick his ass, he's got a bunch of people there that's going to fight for him. And that's what we find ourselves. We're the unwilling participants in their bullshit war, and they got us by the short strings, because we have a lot, but between the Supreme Court saying that money is freedom is speech, and that you can donate whatever you want to political action committees, and as long as they're supposedly not coordinating, they can get away with this shit. That's what's going on right now. And it's pretty hard on Joe, because first of all, he's a big supporter, which, I don't think that's being unconditionally supportive to Israel is probably a fallacy. To be unconditionally supporting to anyone is a fallacy. Your kid or anything. If your kid went out there and committed murder and came back home and said, Daddy, protect me, well, there ain't nothing you can do. The same goes out there if you want to start a global war, or a regional war. You shouldn't. What they're doing, they're pulling Americans' lives and American resources in there, because they've got the politicians over a barrel.
Yeah.
Okay. So and they're sullying our name. We can dirty up our name all by ourselves. We don't need no help. We don't need any help from Israel to make the United States of America look bad. We do a pretty good job on our own. So we didn't need any help from them to go over there and commit atrocities, at first on in Gaza, now in the West Bank, now in Lebanon, and now they say they're going to attack Iran. Iran.
They're in deep shit. Man, the Muslims going to tear their ass up, bro.
Well, I don't know. Unless they can get a coalition of the other people, see, because we bought off everybody else, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, see, and that's what they're doing. We're buying that peace over there. Egypt was one of the people who hated Israel, and we bought the peace from them. And all of the other Arab countries, we give them armaments with the specific caveat, you can't attack Israel with it. So, so we, they're all buying our weapons, Saudi Arabia, all the rich ass Arab countries have bought all our weapons. So now they can't get a coalition together. So, so that's how we've used our money to make Israel almost impossible to defeat in there, And Israel has been they call themselves the genius, but they're the fucking people who did the preemptive war in the 70s, went over there and, because they were talking, the Egyptian people were talking like they'd come over there and have a war with Israel. They did a preemptive attack and attacked everyone, and then picked up the soldiers and mercifully killed them, So we've been backing a war criminal for years, and then they create an apartheid state and make it so that these poor old Lebanese that were there before them or been there for hundreds of years, they have to live in second class citizens in their own land. That shit ain't gonna wash, but I understand the predicament of Job, and I still think he's wrong for supporting them. But you see, political expediency sometimes has to take the front seat. So go ahead.
It's all, to me, it's all bullshit. Bullies soon gonna reach the person they can't bully no more. And when all them Arab countries come together, they're gonna tear their ass up, bro.
Yeah,
ain't no way, bro. And then they're gonna make us look weak because we putting all our people over there. Then another country can come and tear our ass up.
Yeah,
bro.
That's right. Divide and conquer. And Russia and China is just waiting. They're waiting because Russia's weakened because of Ukraine, but China's not. China wants Taiwan. They already got Hong Kong. So they're an expansionist country, and they don't give a fuck, but they're waiting for an opportunity. And if we get caught in a quagmire over there, because there was an old show on HBO probably about 20 years ago, and it was called World War III or something like that. And the fucking premise of the show was that we were over there defending some Arab, it's probably Israel, but we had a bunch of carrier groups and stuff. We had 2 carrier groups, and I think we only have like 4 or 5. Okay, and some are weaker than others, but we had 2 of our main carrier groups. Well, somebody got cruise missiles and just massacred them. So when you talk about a carrier group, they have hundreds of fighter jets on them. Fighter jets don't have no place to land, so what are they going to do? You're going to crash them into the sea. So now you've lost millions and millions of dollars of resource. You lost ships. You lost the ability to project power overseas because you were fucking around in some place where you shouldn't have been,
Yeah.
So that's the premise of it. And it starts with some newsmen on the deck of a carrier group that's being attacked. Okay. And then after that, the carrier groups projects our power and also defends our waters. So once they're down, how long do you think it takes to build an aircraft carrier? Years. And if they are, it takes years to build it's like 5 years to build an aircraft carrier.
How many football fields that air carriers?
I don't truly know. They're not as long as you think. They're probably a football field and a half because what they use to land on a fucking carrier, they have an arresting hook. See, and that's why they say Navy fighters are better fighters. That's why that Top Gun movie was so important. Navy fighters, they got to come in on when you land on like at an Air Force base, the ground is steady. So all you got to do is watch your instrument and come there. But the guy on the aircraft carrier, he's got to go with the heaving ship. The pilot that's coming in, the ship is heaving up and down. So you've got to time your landing with the ship going up and down. You got to be above it, you know, and they give them this thing called the ball where they get to, they follow that ball up and down. The pilot brings it up and down. But now with the new vertical takeoff aircraft, you don't need that anymore because they can land vertically, just come down straight on the carrier. But the older generations, the Tomcats, the F-16s, F-15s, they all have to land with that arresting hook on the aircraft. And if you fuck up and break that, they probably have like 2-3 arresting hooks, because when I was in the Air Force, we had a arresting hook. If a pilot called an in-flight emergency, the pilot would have to, we'd put these, it's a big steel cable, probably about 1.5 inches thick. And they have these rubber donuts in there. And the pilot comes over the airfield and he drops this hook and he flares up, and that drags that hook on the ground. It catches that wire, and then boom, they come in there. If they don't have any brakes or anything, that has 2 little brake, what do they call it? Brake rooms on each side, and they'll pull that they have these big giant disc brakes or drum brakes. Some were drum brakes. I guess the new ones are disc brakes, but they slow down the aircraft and keep it so it doesn't run out of air. And that's the same thing what a ship does, except it's built into the flight deck. So what I'm trying to say is it doesn't have to be long, because that arresting hook catches them and pulls them out, and then they release the hook, and they that cable automatically retracts, and they set it up again, and they're ready for the next one. They can do that within a period of seconds, you know, get out there and have that resting hook ready to go, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a long story. More shit than you ever wanted to know about fucking, but that's why they don't have to be that long. So I think they're probably, if they're 2 football fields, I would be surprised. But they're pretty big, you know, there's a pretty big fucking ship, because they're like a small city. But see, they make a large target too, you know. So anyway, but that's the thought process, is that if I were a person worried about the U.S. Military, I would be worrying about something like that they have these carrier groups down there, and Iraq has been destroyed by us, and Iran, well, they have technology that they buy from the Russians, and they have their own technology. In fact, they're on the cusp of having their own nuclear weapon. Once they have that, it's going to be on no hands bars, because, you know, once you become a nuclear power, nobody fucks with you, do they? Because they don't want you. They don't want that. Even if you don't have a great delivery system, because the Chinese just starting to be able to deliver intercontinental ballistic missiles to the United States. Russia has always been able to, but China starting to be able to, and Korea says that they can. They've tested several missiles, but nothing has went over the distance to the United States. Anyway.
North Korea, right?
North Korea, yeah. Did I say South Korea?
No, you just said Korea.
Yeah, I was ambivalent. Okay. So we said last week, what we'll be watching the vice president debate. What's your take? Did you see it?
I ain't gonna lie to you. No, I ain't see it.
Okay, I watched the whole fucking thing.
You did?
Yeah.
What was your outcome?
Well, I think that Walz kind of flubbed a few times, but at least, you know what I like about him? He fucked up and admitted his fuck up. Like they told him something about him being in Tiananmen Square when they had the revolution, and they said, the records say you were here. He said, probably, he said, I flubbed probably that. He said, I was there the year it happened. I wasn't there. Okay. He says, I've been there several times, and, I wasn't standing out there with the people with the tank, stuff like that. But he admit to it, and, that's good. So he just said, hey, I'm a knucklehead. I messed up. Okay. So he went on with that. So, I think the aha moment was towards the end when Walz asked Vance, do you believe that Trump lost the election? And Vance could. He said, I'm all about the future. I'm not looking in the past. And he says that's a pretty damning statement coming from a person who wants to be the vice president of the United States. And I think that was the body blow that fucking saved his ass. So I would give it score Walz for that. So just for that. And he was very cordial with him. So he was just trying, because he's got this folksy demeanor. And he said, he was up there saying, he said, talking about things they could agree on. Anytime they came up with statements, instead of saying, you lying sack of shit, he didn't say that. He said, oh, well, some of this stuff I can agree with you. Some of this stuff, yeah, right, okay. And he kept going. I said, what the fuck is this guy doing? What the fuck are you? But I think it was probably one of these mind game traps, because J.D. Vance thought, oh, yeah, well, we're on the same page. Well, yeah, and then he fucked up. And he tried to, towards the end, when he said that, when he asked him about Trump winning, he said, well, Kamala Harris was censoring people in 2020 about this, and he says it's a simple question, given the answer, and then they caught him on a whole bunch. They corrected him, and he said, with J.D. Vance, and I'm not talking about Walz, I'm talking about J.D. Vance. And you know what he said? He said, I was told there was not going to be any facts checking. When they caught his dumb ass. I'd say everybody watch the debate and draw your own conclusion. Don't rely on me or Kenny, but I think I'll give it a point for Walz. So that was... And then one thing I wanted to bring up, do you want to input any more? What do you think is going to be the outcome of this Middle East thing?
I think Israel about to feel the wrath, dude.
Yeah, I don't know. But see, I think that if be careful what you wish for, Kenny, because that might pull United States in. We already in it. No. We don't have guys getting their ass killed. We're not taking bodies. Well, see, my scenario is that HBO movie where you get a fucking bunch of ships down there, and they got all kinds of fucking high-tech weapons that they think can't be defeated and shit like that. They got the phalanx weapons that shoot at cruise missiles coming after you. But see, all you got to do is get it to the point where these fuckers run out of ammunition. You can't. You know what, bro?
I don't want no Israelis to get hurt, but I think that Netanyahu ass guy need to get the hell out of there, bro. I am so tired of his shit, dude.
Yeah. Well, all he is the Donald Trump of Israel, only worse. He's killing people. Now, Donald Trump was able to kill a bunch of his own people, almost a million Americans. But Netanyahu is he's doing this whole skit over there. It's all to keep him in office. He's trying to show how strong he is, and people in this xenophobic shit that they go through. But the whole thing about it, I was listening. I wish I would have wrote it down at the time. But, it's kind of like that statement, the sins of the father will be visited on the son. You ever heard of that one?
No.
Okay, well, that's like an old Bible statement. But what it means that what you do today will affect you tomorrow. It's karma. And so while Israel thinks nothing's going to happen to them, something will happen to them. Sooner or later, somebody's going to come up with some kind of supersonic weapons that we don't have a defense again. against and won't be able to defend against them, you know.
That's how they that one fucking person ruined their whole
well, hey,
whole
that was what Hitler did to Germany. And that's exactly. They followed Hitler until you ever seen pictures of Germany before before the end of the war and then after the war and what the country looked like? You know, it looked like shit. Everything was just a pile of rubble, you know, and the people go ahead. And the people all paid for it. They were, I was reading, there's this little, I think it's called Quarry or something like that. Well, they send you out articles every day, and usually people, it's kind of like Substack. It's kind of like Substack, but people will put in an article. Well, they do the research, and hey, you take it with a grain of salt. But one of the things they were talking about was how Germany, after the war, where the women were raped by the Soviets and some by the Americans and shit like that, and how their people was devastated, you know. So that one man brought that whole country down, destroyed the whole country. And if it wasn't for the benevolence of the United States and helping them rebuild their country, it would have been bombed back in the Stone Age. They would have been talking about what used to be, but we helped them get back on their feet. Two countries that owe everything to their being modern marvels of industrial strength today is the Japan and Germany, you know, and you could have turned around and left them to their own device and say, okay, we bombed the shit out of you. Now you build it up with no money, no resources, nothing to build, nothing to do. That's usually what people used to do for war. You know, they burn your crops, killed your women, killed your children, and they walked off, you know. But we didn't do that because of the Marshall Plan. They created industry, created unions, and made them the economic marvels that they are today. Because, you know, what I truly believe in deep inside of America's heart, it's a good country, and they have done good things. And they have done a lot of fucking bad things, but you know, it's a yin and a yang. But in the final analysis, that's what Israel is doing to Iran, Lebanon, and stuff like that. They're doing total war, and you know, they may come in there and rebuild the open door prison that's Gaza. And, you know, may pay some reparations from our money to Lebanon and then try to go fuck with Iran. And, you know, you got to understand that you're dealing with small people in these Lebanon. You know, I don't know how many people in Lebanon, but there's less than 100 million people. But I think Iran has like 2 or 3. They're almost the size of the United States with people. Okay. Yeah. And they have and they're technological. They're a technological giant. Okay. They create drones. They even sell drones to Russia that Russia is using against Ukraine. So, you know, so don't sell them short. They're going to find a way, you know. And, you know, I was thinking a little thing away, you know, when I was a kid, and I'm not suggesting anything, but I'm just saying that Israel think you can stop everything. When I was a kid, I went to swap meets, okay? And I'm just going to tell you this because when people think, oh, we got these Patriot missile batteries and all this shit, you know, that we can stop a missile anywhere. Well, let me tell you about old world technology. When I was a kid, I went to a swap meet, and they had these little things. It was a lead weight that had fins on it. Okay? A lead weight that had fins on it. I said, what the fuck is that? And they said, oh, that's a trench bomb. I don't know what the fucking real name was. That's what I remember. Okay. So what it did is that if you threw it out of a plane at a high enough altitude, it got terminal velocity and it would penetrate anything because it was a missile. Now, let's just say all these high-tech missiles that they're sending over there and they're getting them in the air and they fill them full of those things and they get terminal velocity. There's no stopping something like that. So you use old world technology that can cause devastation because what they're going to do is spray out across the world about a mile long. Okay? So don't think everything can stop everything. See? And I'm just a dumb old knuckle dragger. I don't know shit. But I can tell you.
I know this, Gally. If they go back in the old days when the leaders had to fight in the war with the army,
yeah.
I know there won't be no fucking body going to war.
Yeah. Well, hey, you know you ain't gonna get no Trump or Biden on the field, you know. So there you go. Mm-hmm. But they always choose my champion. That was one of the other things. So they get a champion, they get somebody, some big motherfucker to do it. But remember what happened to David and Goliath. Okay, and because we're so close to the election, I wanted to, we have beat this to death on this podcast, and you always told me, you said, oh, there's not that much different. You know, they're all fucked up. And I wanted to paint a contrast, Kenny, because I wanted to prove to you that no, there is a difference, and it's not subtle; it's real and true. Okay, so I'm going to. This is going to be something. It's an economic tale of the tape. Red state citizens are poor and less educated and sicker than blue state citizens. Republicans.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you didn't know. Okay, I'm going to tell you about it. Republicans worship cheap labor, and having a steady and reliable supply of cheap labor requires widespread poverty. One of the enduring mysteries of America is why the citizens of red states are generally poor and less educated, the sicker than the citizens of blue states. To that question, I step up as the Hartmann, that's what it is. I've never heard that word before, Hartmann, to the deep mystery that may have previously considered. See, what people don't understand is why. So why? Oh, I'm going to tell you why. Biden voting counties equal 70% of America's economy. What does this mean? The nation's political economic divide. Even with a new president and party soon in charge of the White House, the nation's economic standoff continues, notwithstanding President-elect Joe Biden solid popular victory this was last week, so this is an old article. Election failed to deliver the kind of transformative reorientation of the nation's political economic map that Democrats and some Republicans had hoped for. The data confirmed that the election sharpened the stark geographical divide between red and blue America instead of dispelling it. Most notably, the stark economic rift that the Brookings Metro documented after Donald Trump's shocking 2016 victory has grown even wider. In 2016, we wrote that the 2,584 counties that Trump won generated just 30% of the country's economic output, whereas the 470 counties that Clinton carried equated to almost 2/3 of the nation's aggregated economy. So the people who knowingly know that where their bread is buttered, vote for Democrats. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the red states have a higher gun death rates than the blue states. Here's why. A new study published in the Journal of American Medical Surgery found the firearms deaths are most likely in small rural towns than in major urban cities. See, and you always thought that it was Chicago, New York, and all that other stuff, adding to the research that contradicts common beliefs that Democratic blue areas have higher incidences of gun-related deaths than do red state and red districts. And this is by Forbes. You can look it up. Okay. Teen pregnancies are higher in red states than they are in blue states. If liberal social policies really led to fewer unplanned pregnancies and thus fewer abortions, you would expect blue regions of the countries to have lower teen pregnancies rates and fewer abortions per capita than demographically similar red regions, because their people are educated and the ability to have abortions are widespread in bluer states. You don't have as many teen pregnancies. Okay. So the other thing, life expectancy in Republican states compared to Democratic ones, residents in the Democratic voting states experience an average life expectancy of more than 2 years longer than in Republican counterparts, according to the Newsweek analysis, World Population Review data. So you see, Kenny, there is a difference, huh? And then here's the icing on the cake. House Republican budget calls for a raise in the retirement age for Social Security. A budget by the Republican Study Commission, a group of more than 170 GOP lawmakers, highlights how many in the party would seek to govern if Republicans win the election. So they're already thinking about raising the retirement age. So it used to be like 62, now it's 65, and now it's not now 60. Already passed that 65, and I think it's 67. So they want your ass to work until you can't get up out of the fucking bed no more. So and if you
ain't gonna be able to get your fucking Social Security.
Well, I think
you're being died before that.
That's right. That's the idea. They don't want you to get shit. They want it to be. You ever heard that the carrot and the donkey, where they put the carrot in the front of the donkey to make the donkey walk?
Yeah.
You know, and that motherfucker's always running after it, but he never gets the carrot. Well, that's what they want to do for your ass. They want your ass to continue thinking you're going to get a retirement, but no, you're not going to get it. What I'm trying to say is, by almost every measure that Republican states have a lower wage, and they have a thing called right to work states. That means that you can be in a union shop. Okay, you can work in a union shop. Let's say you go like a Teamster or something like that, or, you know, and everybody else is paying their union dues and everything, but you say, I don't want to pay. Well, because they have a right to work state, you don't have to pay your union dues. So somebody's doing the negotiation, getting your benefit, your dental, your eyeglass plan, and everything else. Somebody's picking up the slack for your sorry skag ass. Okay. Now, I tell you, Kenny, I didn't like my union. Okay.
You didn't like who?
I didn't like the union I was in. Never liked it. But hey, if I was ever in trouble, I pulled that fucking Trump card up and say, hey, I'm in the union. Union had to send a representative, and at least they had to deal with me fairly. Okay. When I got retirement benefits, everybody got the same retirement benefits. When I got eyeglass benefits, everybody got the same eyeglass benefit. It's the most democratic thing you'll ever be in, because everybody gets the same thing. They don't negotiate for Joe Blow. They don't negotiate for Brother Sue. They negotiate for everybody. If we all get a raise, we all get a raise. Okay? So that's why they don't like unions. So, like, red states hate unions. So that's why they have all the ununion car companies are in southern states. And even when, but I'll tell you this much, when a union shop gets a fucking raise, those ununion shops get a little bit of a raise too, because they're worried that the fucking ununion shop will vote for a union. Okay, so they give them a little bit to placate their ass. So you see, by almost every measure, they'll tell you it's always cheaper cost of living. People have told me, I remember there was a time back in the 80s and the 90s where they had a whole bunch of black people moving back to the South. Okay. And I said, what the fuck would you do that? Why the fuck would you do? Oh, well, it's cheaper to live. I said, well, fuck, it's cheaper to live in fucking Kathmandu too. It's cheaper to live in, what the fuck is that place where Mother Teresa was, that she cured for all the poor ass people?
India.
Yeah, it was in India, but it was this fucking thing where sewage just runs down the street. It's a filthy ass place. But and she committed her life to helping the people there. And I'm going to put it in the show notes. But anyway, she worked there. Yeah, it's cheaper to live there. I could live like a king, but I don't want to live there because I don't want to be smelling shit all day. And I don't want to walk down the street and worrying about some poor person who sees me on the street and say, hey, that's a rich man, because it's all relative. To a man that ain't got a bite to eat, you're a rich man, Kenny. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Well, hey, don't you get to eat? Don't you got a roof over your head?
Yeah.
Don't you got a car to drive?
Yeah.
Well, you're a rich ass man to a man that's sleeping in the gutter. Okay. See, it's all relative. You ain't Donald Trump, but you're a rich motherfucker. You're an accessible rich man. See, you're walking down the street. See, so there you go. So that's what I'm saying. And then in the news today, Kamala Harris and Liz Cheney united for on the campaign trail to work against the great Donald Trump. So what do you think about that?
I ain't hear nothing about that one.
Oh, yeah. They went to what's supposed to be the birthplace of the Republican Party. I think it's in some place called in Wisconsin. But that's kind of what would I say? It's a disputed statement because there's a place in Illinois where they say, but it was an old schoolhouse, and they got in front of the schoolhouse that was the supposedly birthplace of the Republican Party, and Liz Cheney came up there and said how she supported Kamala Harris. So anyway, and they made a big deal out of it, and the crowd said, thank you, Liz. So anyway, that was one of the things in the also in the news. Bruce Springsteen came out and calls Trump the most dangerous candidate for president in his lifetime. Now,
Bruce Springsteen did that?
Bruce Springsteen said that shit. What do you think of that, Kenny?
That's great. Bruce Springsteen. Wow. We're born to live again.
Yeah. Well, hey. Well, let's, and speaking of that, I looked that up today, doing my homework. I found that Bruce Springsteen and Barack Obama have a fucking podcast.
They do?
Yeah. You didn't know that, did you?
Uh-uh.
Oh, yeah. And the name of the podcast is, let me get here, Renegades, Born in the USA. Yeah.
Born in the USA.
Yeah, and it's a pretty good podcast because they talk about the dynamics of both of their fathers, you know. And I'm also going to link. There was a CBS News skit piece that had Bruce Springsteen and Barack Obama, and they've been friends for ever since he started to be, because he was one of the first people that supported Barack Obama, believe it or not.
Yeah.
You didn't know that, did you, Kenny? See all this shit that I be throwing, this knowledge I drop on your ass every week, huh?
I have a question for you, though.
Go ahead. You hit me, baby.
All right. See all the money they were sending at all these other countries and stuff? What's your thought on them giving every household $750 in North Carolina?
Well, see, I don't think that's true, Kenny. I've been watching the news shows, and people have been talking about that, and they said that's definitely not true, that they are just a limited amount of money. There may be something they give you for a stipend for, like a week or two. I don't know, but I'm thinking that FEMA's budget is amazing. In fact, you're talking to one person. This is a little history for the Scalawag. I went to see FEMA be created when I was a young firefighter years ago. I had a chief that said, "Hey, how'd you like to go to this seminar and stuff?" And it was the creation of, the federal, emergency management. And they were talking about what they needed. They needed reports from fire departments and what they were going to do. They were going to have an integrated response and stuff like that. So I was there when they were just building the motherfucker years ago. This is in the 70s, Kenny. So, but what I would say about FEMA is a money that I don't think they see. Here's the thing. See, Republicans would want you to say, you've heard all those Republicans that are out there, and I keep going to this because I want to show you a recurring theme. There's always some motherfucker, like Barack Obama said, you didn't build this. You didn't build this nation, and you didn't build your business alone, and you didn't, because it's rarely that somebody builds something from nothing and they didn't have to borrow from a bank. And the United States government creates the banking system. We've already talked about how it is in third world nations where people go to their mortgage company every 5 years to renegotiate a mortgage. When we buy a mortgage, you bought your mortgage, you had a 30-year mortgage, didn't it, Kenny?
Yeah. And
you don't have to renegotiate that motherfucker ever again, do you? Until you pay it off, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's significantly the United States of America. That's one of the great things about America. See, but people don't look at that shit. They don't look at the big picture. They don't look at when the fucking government, when these people are stranded, is there somebody coming? There is somebody coming. They don't have to they sometimes can't get there. I was hearing that they took pack mules and put food and shit on pack mules and brought them to a town that didn't have a fucking road. That's your government working. Okay?
So tell me, how much did each household get there?
I don't know. And I'll tell you what, I will look it up and we will have the answer. And it will probably go by how many people is in your household. If you got 12 people, $750 ain't going to last a week. But if you have one person, if you're an old grandma, $750 will last you 2 weeks, right? 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. So, they probably average it out. I don't know. But be very careful of what you're saying, because let me give you an example of FEMA, of how it works. So we have a thing on the fire department called the USAR team. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Do you know these motherfuckers, they're not motherfuckers, they're hardworking guys, okay? They leave their family, but they're specially trained for shit like that. This is another thing. Before this FEMA and all this stuff was invented, if your state got hit a wallop and you lost everything, let's say you're like in Florida. I was looking at a video in Florida, and this motherfucker was in his living room in a kayak, floating almost at the top of the fucking ceiling, showing that. Now, How many fire trucks do you think you can pull out of the station? How many fucking police cars you think are working in that? See, think about that. So who's coming to save your ass? Uncle Sam?
Nope.
No, bullshit, Kenny. These motherfuckers, do you know? See, that's, well, let me explain to you. USAR teams are all around the fucking country.
Who?
USAR teams, urban rescue and urban rescue teams. They're all around the country. They're on a government contract. They take fire departments that are in California and they create a team. And like if you have a small city, they give you a USAR team, okay? And that USAR team is trained by the federal government, given extra money out of the federal government's budget to be prepared. And when the fucking shit hits the fan, that USAR team gets on a plane, a C-147, with all their shit on there and comes to your aid. So take that shit out of your head, Kenny, because it's not true. You are not alone. I'm telling you, you're in one of the world's best place to be in some shit storms, okay? Because somebody's coming for you. You're not going to sit up there on the roof. And now George W. Bush gave it and Katrina hit. You have some exceptions to the rule. When you have a Republican in charge and he puts his horse trainer buddy in charge of FEMA that don't know shit about rescue, then you have catastrophic events. But if you have people who are well trained, that's why they have to be an administrative state. They have to be people that are there and they have an administrative memory of how they do it. You just think if you had to change the fucking fire department every time some mayor did, how would they know how to fight a fire? How would they know how to do anything? You have to keep an administrative government in charge. And that's what Trump is against. He doesn't want an administrator. He wants those bobbleheads that pop up and down. But what I'm trying to tell you is that that's how the government has created an interconnected link are all around the country. You can't go to a city. Go to your city, go into a fire station when you're driving around this week and ask them, where's the USAR team? And they will tell you where the USAR team is. Okay, it's in, and you look on. If you'll see that when they had that earthquake in California, they found that they couldn't pick up freeway sections. People were trapped underneath the freeway, and they have one of the biggest fire. They have two of the biggest fire departments in the country in California, right? Los Angeles City, Los Angeles County. You have, one has 4,000 people, one has 6,000 people, okay? So you have the biggest fire department services, and they couldn't take it. So you know what the government did? They created USAR teams and technical rescue teams. They gave them specialized equipment, cranes and stuff, and they paid for it out of their fucking pocket, Kenny. The government does something for you. It's not what you think. You know, I'm telling you as a living person who did this job, that there's a USAR team, there's all of these things. And then your military, they can send in the National Guard from other country. I mean, not other country, but other states can come in and assist you. They can send the military in. All of these resources are at the hands of the government when they need to go there. Okay.
So how much money did they give those people in Hawaii? In Maui?
I don't know, Kenny. I to tell you the truth, I didn't go into it, but I know there was a lot of fucking. There's a lot of people that's saying that there was a lot of. They're trying to. They've accused Oprah of taking some of the money. I'm sure Oprah, that money ain't a pimple on Oprah's ass. So, but you know, there's always going to be things and people not satisfied, you know, but I guarantee you, if you took all this away, you took everything away. Okay. Let's say Donald Trump gets in office and say, oh, we don't need a USAR team. We're not going to fund it anymore. We're not going to give these government because these guys, when they leave, okay, I'll give you an example. When a guy went to Katrina at a friend of mine's, I was on special ops team, which is the same as a USAR team, but it was only for aviation. So if you had an aviation disaster, I could have went there. But one of the things that the people had when they went to Katrina, these guys went there and stayed 2 months, sleeping in tents, working every day, away from their family. So I'm telling you that these systems are built all around what this nation can put together. That's why nobody wants to fuck with you, because they have so much infrastructure built into the system. You know, there's subsets, counties, and stuff like that. But when you get something like that, that storm that just hit, was it Helene? Yep. Is that the name of it? Helene? Anyway, when you get something like that, if you were a state all by yourself, you couldn't dig yourself out of that fucking hole, because everything you already have is gone. Your fire trucks are gone. You can't start them because they're in 2 feet of water. Your fucking police cars are gone because they're fucking washed off the road. Okay? Your stations, your infrastructure are gone. Okay? So how do you think these people get back on their fucking feet? The federal government starts paying. FEMA starts sending out checks. They start coordinating building construction. First, they start on the infrastructure for emergency service, and then they spring themselves out. And it's not perfect, but it's something. Go ask somebody in Bangladesh what happens when their house gets washed away. They'll be lucky if they get a Hallmark card from the government. Okay? So, shit. So it's perspective, but I will look that up. I'm writing it down on my paper today, right now, Kenny, to say I'm going to check out and see what's the truth. I'm going to look up and SNOPs and see what the average payout. But see, I truly think it's progressive payout. It's not something you get like, it's one time and say fuck you, because that would be stupid. I don't think our government's that stupid. I know they do some stupid ass shit, but I don't think they're stupid. I think they would, because who would vote in a government that gave them $750? Shit, you got more than that from a stimmy check from Joe Biden, didn't you?
Joe Biden gave out a stimulus check?
He sure the fuck did. You didn't, you missed it?
Yeah, I didn't get that.
Hey, hold on, Kenny. I'm going to tell you what the average of Joe Biden's stimulus check was. He sent your ass $1,400. And see, you didn't forgot about it.
I ain't never got that.
You got a fucking $1,400 check, and if you didn't, go get it. See?
Who do I contact?
Okay. The third economic impact payment will be targeted for most people. Eligible individuals who filed a joint return will receive $2,800, and all other individuals will receive what you filed a joint return?
Yeah.
Okay. Then go get your fucking stimmy. See, if you didn't get it, it's somewhere. Okay. So I done made you some money today, didn't I, Kenny?
Well, let me go look, and I'll let you know next week.
Okay, well, you go. Hey, and you can go to IRS and look up your fucking Social Security number, and they will tell you every fucking thing you sent, and every dime they sent to you, because they keep track of shit like that. Okay, so if you didn't get your stimmy, see, that's what I'm saying. People forget shit. I heard people saying, "Oh, that was the reason they're going to vote for Trump." It's because he gave him a stimmy check, because he put his name on it. I said, Joe Biden gave you a stimmy check too, motherfucker.
I'm waiting to see that. I gotta go see that.
Okay. Well, you check it out and see have I ever led you down the wrong hole?
I'll let you know next week.
Okay, you let me know. Then you might be sitting in tall cotton, huh?
Might be.
Yeah, shit. You be sitting up there. Oh fuck, man! You turn me on. Might turn on some of the people listening to this. Okay, for our last thing, we want to say happy birthday to Jimmy Carter. Turned 100 this week, and he is hanging on to the ledge of life with his fingernails so he can vote for Kamala Harris, you know. And I'd like to say some things about Jimmy Carter. He was a son of the South, and he unshackled himself from racism and became a really good president. A lot of people don't know this, but the guy had courage. He was when they had, you know, he has a degree in nuclear science, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, he had a degree in nuclear science. Okay. So he's a smart motherfucker. He may have been a peanut farmer, but he's a smart motherfucker. Okay. And one of the weird things about him is that his mother delivered his wife to him. His mother was his next door neighbor. She was a midwife. She delivered his wife, and there's a picture of him and Rosalind when they were kids, and that became his wife, Rosalind Carter. So, but one of the things he did was they had one of these little model nuclear fission reactors, and the fucker was going to be the first one that went like Chernobyl. It was going to go critical. And Jimmy Carter went in there and took it down before it melted down. And they say it was for months he had radioactive urine. So that shows you the type of man Jimmy Carter was. Okay.
Yeah, radioactive what?
Urine. His urine was radioactive for months later because he got exposed to so much fucking radiation that. And then when he left, let's show compare and contrast. Jimmy Carter, after he left being the president, he went out and built houses for poor people, Habitat for Humanity. Now let's compare that to one of our most recent ex-presidents. Huh? You think Donald Trump would go build a house for some poor motherfucker?
Hell to the no.
Okay, so that's why I say today I applaud Jimmy Carter because he lived his values, and he was probably one of the most underrated presidents, and he got fucked out of the presidency. That's a long story, but we'll probably cover it one of these days because what happened was that Ronald Reagan. You remember when he was the president? You probably don't because you were a little younger. But they had some hostages, huh?
I remember Ronald Reagan had hostages in Iran.
Yeah, they had hostages in Iran, and Jimmy Carter, that tore him apart because he was trying to figure out how he could get these people home, and he wanted that became his main focus in life. When he was in the presidency, and took a back seat to that. Well, while he was trying to get those people released, Ronald Reagan was making it so they keep him in the fucking hostage until he became president. And if you go back in the news, go look at when he was getting sworn in the first time, and you'll see that they were releasing the hostages at the same time as Ronald Reagan was getting sworn in. He used that as an October surprise to fuck Jimmy Carter out of the election. So, anyway, history is a motherfucker, Kenny. So, well, what we are going to do there, Kenny, is, Kenny, put a little hit for your new music video.
Another what?
A hit. I mean, put out a little statement for your music video.
Oh, got a new single called "Leave Me Alone" by Dual Persona, which is me. That's my alter ego.
Yeah.
So take a look, listen to that one on Spotify and is on the YouTube channels and everything.
Okay.
It's called Leave Me Alone, just in time for Halloween. Scary.
Okay. So with that, we're going to knock us off of this podcast with another Big Kenny joint, Die in Vain.
Spinning out of control, a never-ending cycle of blood and soul. Families torn apart, children left alone, as they march to the battlefield with hearts of stone. Why are they killing everyone? Is it worth the damage done? Our tears fall like the rain as we watch them die in vain. Bombs exploding, bullets flying all around us. There's no denying the horror of war. The price we pay for our leaders, greed, day after day. Why are they killing everyone? Is it worth the damage done? Our tears fall like the rain as we watch them die in vain.
Okay, Scally and Big Kenny saying sayonara, and our hope, at least, for peace in the Middle East.
Yeah.